Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry gamers.
Hello, and welcome, boys and girls, to the 114th episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are powered by 8bit.net, Audio Technica, and are a proud member of the hashtag 8bit Collective. I'm an so humble host, Brendan White, who can be found everywhere at Brendan8bit. Joined today for this duo podcast, my main man, the Dream Maker, Salim the Dream Abraham, who can be found at Salim TD. How you doing today, brother?
Hey, mate. I am absolutely spectacular. I'm really excited to have you back.
It has been a while. Our schedules have finally aligned again. We've been doing the dance, trying to work out best time to record this week, but we got here. It's a nice sunny Sunday morning. We are both hangover free. We are both caffeinated. We're looking fresh. Our eyebrows are both on fleek. We've got the warring caterpillars, out and about and proud today. So here we are.
That's it. Here we are. Mate, how have you been?
I've been good. I missed last week. Thank you to not only yourself for sharing that episode like no one's business, but also to our boys Jono and Nato for jumping in and creating a cracker of an episode. Appreciate you guys poking a bit of fun at me. It certainly made me laugh on my travels.
No, I was just going to say, it was a hell of a lot of fun. Not necessarily just that part, but having Jono and Nato on. Nato's always good because he always says really, really dumb shit like Final Fantasy VII's a bad game. So it's always fun.
I know. Yeah. And he even debated, I think he even sort of said, or was it you that said Final Fantasy VI sort of was where it started to turn bad, kind of? Because it was obviously tied into the Octo discussion. And there was sort of some hot takes there from Nato about Final Fantasy being poo and everything else. And
his view is that 6 is the best, and everything after 6 the series suffers for. Which, anyway, I don't know anyone who's a fan of the series that really holds the same view. But if you do have a problem with that, please let Nato know.
Yeah,
I know Nato.
he's almost becoming like the real life reimagining of the Donald Trump Twitter account. He is just dropping these ridiculous hot takes and controversies everywhere he goes, and he's the embodiment of the Trump Twitter handle these days. So, but no, thank you again, boys, for jumping in and making that episode magical. But we're back. We're tag teaming this sumbitch today. I'm excited. Mm-hmm. What about you, man? What's been going on?
What's been going on, mate? I have. I've just been really in the throes of The Last of Us.
Yes.
So, when you were here last, Jono kind of laid down the challenge, laid down the gauntlet.
Yep.
And then last week, Nato laid down 3 more gauntlets, or tried to at least. And I feel like when we broach a specific topic on the agenda today, that I might surprise a few people and have yet more challenges thrown at me for another beloved series that I haven't played yet. But The Last of Us, I've been doing that, and I have been messaging Jono while he's in Hawaii because he's currently over in Maui at the moment. He's got a funny little Lost tribute video that
it was so good
cut together. It's great. So Jono and I have been messaging. I've been messaging him while he's sipping Mai Tais on some beach in Maui about The Last of Us. And it is actually an amazing game. And I feel like such an idiot for having not played it,
It's magical, man. Like, it's one of the best games of not only sort of this current generation, but the previous as well. Like, obviously, it came out at the tail end of the PS3 release and life cycle, and it was critically acclaimed from sort of the jump. But then they sort of ported it with the PS4 as well, and Naughty Dog nailed it. And the second one, just from the trailers, whether it be the sort of the CGI or whether it be the live action gameplay they showed with Ellie roaming around, just being a general badass. Like, I am so hyped for this to drop next year.
It's so hard actually though. I'm playing on hard difficulty, which is not the hardest. I think there's 2 harder difficulties from memory. But there was this one particular part where spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't quite played it. This is kind of, I'll say, 20% of the way through the game. Where you're having to, you've just got Ellie, you've just met Ellie, and you're trying to smuggle her outside the wall, and you just get hit up by the cops. It's just after that, and you start to see clickers and runners, and there's this little zone where you've got to kill like 4 or 5 runners and 1 clicker, and that took me the best part of an hour to get through. It's tough. It's such a hard game. It
is like, and it's rewarding though. Like when you go, I know the exact area you're talking about, and it took me a few run throughs as well. I didn't play on the hardest difficulty. I think I might have landed on about where you were playing too. And yeah, there was a few parts in there where it's like, okay, I got to breathe for a minute. I'm going to go for a quick walk. I'm going to get a water or something, readjust my chi and then come back and give it a crack, because man, some of the enemies and whether it be you're avoiding them or actually going in for the kill and shanking them and everything else, it's tough, man. It's tough. And some of the the sort of death animations when you're killing these creatures and people, it's visceral, man. It is tough.
It's brutal. It is absolutely brutal. Like the Joel getting killed scenes, those animations. Oh, dude. Very, very hard to watch some of them. The ones where the clicker bites you, it's like it's the best of every zombie film you've ever seen. I think. It's dread. It's dread inducing.
It's so well done. I just want to ask, like, obviously you're etching your way through the game now. The opening though is one of the heaviest openings of a video game that I can remember playing in my life, really. Where sort of the panic setting in and Joel's trying to escape with his daughter and obviously tragedy hits. Like that just left my jaw on the floor right from the outset. It's very sad. Like I think I said last week, it grabs your heart, it rips your chest open, grabs your heart and just nudges, like just pulls on it a little. It is sad. It is really sad. I think it's one of the best intros to a game I've seen, particularly in this sort of post-apocalyptic zombie horror sort of setting. It just sets the scene really well with the sort of panic that's happening around you and the confusion and the chaos. It's actually really sad. But I'm actually on schedule to finish this game by the next episode of THG. Nice work.
That I'm on. So, and I've also had the gauntlet, not the gauntlet. I've got to stop having gauntlets thrown down, I think.
Yes, stop inciting all these dramatic challenges.
I've also had a bit of a deadline put on me by Dane Peavy and by Jono to get it done in 3 weeks. So, by the time we get to the next episode, you'll hear my full thoughts and opinions on this game, and I'm excited to sort of see the end of it. It's not a long game. I've been sort of having to space it out just because of other commitments, but it's about 10 hours, I think, from memory.
Yeah, about 10 to 12, I think, on average was the run. I've played through twice, and I think they both came in about 11-ish, something like that.
Yeah, so I'm home stretch. I'm on home stretch, and I'll be able to talk in more detail about it next week. Aside from that, mate, who'd have guessed it? I've been playing a bit of WoW.
Obviously, I know why, though.
I won't. Yeah, of course. It's a really exciting time for the game at the moment. I'm not going to talk about the game itself, but what I would recommend is that everyone should just check out the cinematics that are coming out now. They're being sort of released weekly in the lead up to the Battle for Azeroth launch on August 13th. So there's one for Jaina, it's called like Warbringer Jaina. There's one called Warbringer Sylvanas, and then there's another one, a really cool one that just came out called Old Warrior, and it tracks this old orc general Salfang. who doesn't quite necessarily agree with the war that's happening at the moment. It's really cool. Like, they've actually got a really great story and setting for this expansion, which, as you can expect from a game that's been going for about 15 odd years, hasn't always been the case. But this is actually just, it's a very cool time. I don't know if you've seen the ads for the Battle for Azeroth
I've seen the ads, and like, it's just testament to Blizzard's sort of graphics crew or sort of video editors, because the trailers and the ads they put for these games are just world class. And I still hold out hope that they somehow land on maybe a streaming service one day where they've made like their own sort of offshoot, WoW-esque television show or short-run series where they just expand on these trailers and turn them into full episodes, because it's so good. It is so good to watch. The character models are second to none.
It's great. They've got these 4 ads at the moment as well that are running, I think, across North America and all online. And they're all like about how it matters what faction you choose. And they show you these people in situations in their life where they could get help from someone, but the person's kind of like the other faction, so they just refuse the help. There's this good one where it's like a baby in a chair, and the mum and dad are both wearing, like, one's wearing a Horde and the other one's wearing an Alliance shirt. They're both trying to like get the baby to walk to them and come to them and impress them the most with like different things. It's just really clever. I think it's really funny. Check them out. Check them all out. And this time next week I'll be talking more about TLOU. And
then the following week you'll be talking about BOA.
I'll be talking about your BFA. Yeah. Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
I will
what
be,
am I
actually,
thinking?
yeah.
Jesus.
Battle of Azeroth, Battle for Azeroth. Yeah, it's close enough. I will be. So that will be out probably for about a day or two at time we release it. Anyway, stay tuned. It's all coming. What have you been doing though, Brendan? Everyone's been speculating. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of people have been talking. Everyone's partly excited, partly concerned.
Oh, Jesus.
About what you've been doing.
Okay, well,
a lot of speculation.
Hopefully I can put the concern aspects to rest. I have been traveling with work. I was in Melbourne for the week last week for sort of the biggest event in my sort of 9 to 5 based life calendar. So that was a long week. It was a tough week. I know you shared one of the stories you experienced some of this event a few years back. Yeah, customers still ask. We're like, where's that that sort of white whale you talked about a few years back? He was coming in. He was going to deliver the world, and it hasn't yet to. Yeah,
you can't land me. I'm just a unicorn.
That's what I said. I'm like, mate, we didn't get the hardware upgrades that we needed in time, and he sort of pivoted to another vendor.
Yeah.
But I'm working on it. And they're like, yeah, no worries. No. I think they know I'm bullshitting, but it's sort of this Mexican standoff thing where we don't want to blink. But because I've been traveling so much, I haven't been able to do much sort of as far as PC or sort of fixed console gaming. So I've been playing a lot of Octopath Traveler finally.
Right.
On the Switch, mixture of handheld mode, because obviously I was traveling, playing it on docked on the telly, and it scales really, really well onto the big old 65-incher. But I'm really enjoying it. Like, I guess I don't have the history and the DNA embedded in me of sort of those early Final Fantasy games. I never really played many of those. My first, I think, launch point into Final Fantasy might have been 7.
Yeah.
So the closest I'd have to sort of
the worst one.
Yeah, the worst one. So I'm just a sucker for punishment, clearly jumping in with the trash that is Final Fantasy 7. But yeah, it's like obviously my sort of JRPG lineage starts with things like Secret of Mana and stuff like that. So that's sort of where I dove into this universe, and so I get a little bit of that feeling in Octopath. I can understand where they're talking about with the Final Fantasy similarities and things like that, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm about, I think, nearly 20 hours in now. So I've got just about all the crew. I haven't got one of them yet because I've just been sort of rolling around, leveling up, grinding out in the wilderness, trying to attack some of the caves and do some of the harder end stuff like that. But I'm liking it. I think I've finally settled on a good team makeup where I've got a mixture of mixture of tank. I've Cyrus rolling as sort of your mage, rolling. God, I always forget his name. Aaron, which is sort of your healer / he's almost like a little scientist guy, and he can sort of combine and concoct potions and whatnot and give you buffs and nerf the enemies. And then Harneet is my main. Funnily enough, NATO and I mained the same person, so that's the female hunter who talks very old like Elizabethan sort of. Oh, hi there, Sire, and we're going to here, and how thee doing, and all that, which is bizarre for almost like a woodswoman. To talk so formal like that. You think there'd be sort of like a bit of feralness maybe there, but... It's very normal for a JRPG to have that, though. It's very normal. But I really like what they're doing. Like, it is sort of a big nostalgia hit, I think, just with obviously the graphical fidelity in it, or lack thereof. It's not full 3D character model renderings and vibrant vistas and things. They're sort of mixing the old and the new. The story, I probably don't want to talk too much about it because NATO's been talking about here and there, as well as Ali. But it's a pleasant surprise, and it lands well on the Switch. It's nice to see sort of Square Enix and Acquire put this as their testbed for this game, launching it on the Switch. Obviously, it's not on the PS4 and the Xbox One and things like that. And it shows there's a market for it. It was confirmed the other day they've already shipped 1 million units, which is pretty good within the first 2-ish weeks, thereabouts, since launch, 3 weeks since launch. So there's definitely been some good uptake on it. I'm really enjoying getting back into a turn-based RPG, juggling with sort of strats and things like that when you're starting to fight some of the bosses, whether it be poor old Primrose's heavy-handed pimp, or Cyrus's scholar who's stolen this, rare, powerful tome that he's trying to sell to clear up his gambling debts and stuff. I like that when you're in those battles, the boss character's, 10 stories tall as opposed to your little sort of sprite. So I think that's really cool. It sort of emphasizes, who the big dog is and who the big bad is. But it's really, really well done. It's sunk its teeth into me. One thing I'll say, though, some of the stories don't always hook me, so I have skipped a few of sort of the backstory introductions or parts of the backstory because they are pretty drawn out, and it's sort of a rinse and repeat. You listen to a few bits, walk there, listen to a few more, and so it gets a bit sort of long in the tooth. But I'm really enjoying it. It's a good distraction leading up between now and Spider-Man drops next month. That's the next one I'm hanging out for. So this is a good time sink between now and then.
That looks so good.
Oh yeah. And the other one, I haven't played it yet, but I actually re-downloaded your game of the year in 2016. No Man's Sky.
NMS. Yes.
Yeah, NMS. Because I want to try out this multiplayer. I want to actually see if the dream that they sold us 3-ish years ago now has actually finally been realized. And I want to see if it is what they sort of promised us. So over the next couple of weeks, I want to try and take some time to get in there and get a party of 4 going and sort of explore the universe and, name some animals and some planets, and we'll see. But it looks good. Like, it looks gorgeous from just all the social media hype on it and people I follow, and they're screen capping things in game or little short clips or telling stories. It sounds like the crew at Hello Games have finally gotten to where they hope to be on launch day. Is it too little too late? I don't know.
It's interesting, really, isn't it? Because it's definitely getting positive attention for the first time since it was released, and people are saying really good things about the multiplayer that they've dropped. Almost to the point where they're tempering it. They're tempering expectations. I think I saw Polygon had an article about how it's great, but not everything you'd think. Like almost just kind of pulling back those expectations, reining them in just once again. But you see Twitch, like so many people playing this game right now. It's great. I would like to see, looking back on all of this, I think it would be fascinating if this game was now accepted, adopted, and loved by more than just the diehards that have been playing it since day one. It would just be such an interesting case in the history of games, this game No Man's Sky, that was completely panned and hated, and everyone associated with it was hated, and then it kind of has its own little Cinderella story at the end.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what happens. I haven't seen any sort of sales figures or anything if there has been a big spike, or maybe if this is just all legacy players just going back and reinstalling. You see a lot of sort of scorned ex-lovers almost coming on, and they're begrudgingly like, I'm reinstalling this. I don't know how I feel, or it hasn't landed for a couple, but yeah, as you said, the vast majority of people have said this is great. This is where it needs to be.
Well, Jono, who's platinumed it, I'm pretty sure. Jono said he's not reinstalling because he just feels that it's the moment's gone.
Yeah, that's a tough platinum. That's commitment to a shit game right there.
It's crazy, isn't it?
My goodness,
it's crazy. So I'm throwing that into the gauntlet for Jono. Jono, reinstall No Man's Sky. Let me know what you think.
Yeah,
get back from Maui. Get out of Lost. Get out of the jungle.
That's it.
Stop hanging out with Locke, and get back to it.
That's it. Get back with your, you're going to have a winter tan now. So, show off as you walk in the streets of Melbourne with your nice sort of golden skin where everyone else is cold and white and miserable down there in Melbourne. But yeah, get amongst No Man's Sky multiplayer. Let us know, because I think anyone that's platinumed that game will have a pretty good, well-formed opinion and be able to tell us the clear differences between then and now, because you only played maybe 6 hours, I think, of the original, and then I'm just like, nah, this ain't for me. See you later.
Yeah, I think that's 5.5 hours more than most.
Yeah, but you just knew from the jump. You knew straight away that it was going to be Game of the Year.
Yeah, hey, 3 years running. Who would have thought?
So yeah, that's sort of a bit about me. Should we jump into some of the news that's been doing the rounds this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
This week's news headlines.
Okay, so the first item on today's docket, the headline reads, Valve makes changes to the loot box systems in Belgium so that players can see what they're purchasing. This comes via way of someone at News for Gamers. I couldn't find an author or a credit on the article anywhere, so I don't know how that works. It's my first time looking at that website. So
yeah.
But taking a nugget from the article, it reads, as controversy continues regarding loot boxes in video games, Valve has taken the initiative to improve the process for their games. Dutch and Belgium, so the Netherlands and Belgium, have threatened to prosecute gaming companies regarding loot boxes in games. Their ruling stated, in quotes, loot boxes contravene the law if the in-game goods from the loot boxes are transferable. Loot boxes do not contravene the law if the in-game goods from the loot boxes are not transferable, end quote. So on the back of that, Valve has taken another step forward for those regions in question. So that's Belgium and the Netherlands, not Dutch. News for Gamers, get it right. Come on now. But it reads, for Dota 2, Dutch players can see what the loot box will contain before purchasing it. The game now restricts players by only allowing one box purchase at a time and removing the box opening animation. I don't know why the last part's relevant, but that is sort of the main nugget or the main basis of this article. So loot boxes now, it's almost like going to a store and seeing that toy or, that purchase in its packaging still. You know exactly what you're getting. The RNG is gone, at least here for players in the Netherlands. What do you think about this? Do you think this is where the market's going to shift towards, or this might just be a case by case depending on the countries that kick up that sort of bit of a stink and threaten legalities?
No, I don't think this is going to be wide. This is going to be adopted by all countries. Just on the changes. So I couldn't find out. Looking into this a bit further, I wasn't able to work out if, just because you can see what's in the loot box, if you could rotate it out.
Yeah.
Just keep cycling through them until you find one with stuff that you want or haven't got yet. I don't know that you can do that. The reason they do they got rid of the animations is because the animations are sort of designed to make you feel rewarded for opening
like
a
a poker
box.
machine almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the
that
noises
makes
in a
sense.
poker machine. So that's why they've gotten rid of that. And then also you can only buy one at a time now as opposed to buying them in bulk, because when you buy more, obviously you get a discount. So it's rewarding you for purchasing more, so to speak. So they're just trying to cut the sort of incentive to do this, at least like the psychological one, it seems.
No, that's true. That's true. Everyone likes the bright lights and the glitz and things like that.
We're all suckers for shiny things.
Oh yeah.
You know? What do I think of this? I think that this is boring. This is really killed the fun, and it's great. Like, I'm glad. It's obviously the intention, so they've figured out, what tweaks they need to make. It's still, if you can't cycle through the loot boxes to get what you need, then it's still like, well, you've still got to spend that money to get to where you're going. But I guess at the same time, if you could cycle through, then what the hell's the point of a loot box? You might as well just have individual items on a shop front.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to cycle through. I think it's going to be you'll load up the loot box store and you'll click that box and it'll show you what you're getting, and you can either accept or decline, and it's just going to spin that every time. I don't think you'll be able to go, no, that's not working for me. Next.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense. It's not. It's obviously not. The most elegant way of doing the loot boxes. Like, it's not the most elegant loot box system, but it's the system that the Belgians and the Dutch now have to work with because the governments are threatening legal action, against Valve. I don't hate it. This is for Dota 2, by the way. I don't know if we mentioned that. This was a change being made in Dota 2. I don't hate it. Like, I think it's fine. Something has to happen to loot boxes because the perception out there is just so negative. So yeah, I don't know. It's a funny one. It's just a funny one. I would hate for it to happen to us.
Me too. Me too. I think, like, as much as it pains me to say it, the biggest game in the goddamn universe has sort of, I guess, almost set the precedent for it to a degree. Like the whole battle pass style of reward where you pay your $10 at the start of a season. And then the more you play, the more cosmetic-based items you unlock. I think that's definitely the best way to go about it, especially at the very least for free-to-play games. But maybe we'll see that weave into more. Like, obviously, PUBG did it recently, and a few other games of that ilk. But yeah, I don't know.
That works for three reasons. That works, one, because it doesn't have an impact on gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Two, because it's merit-based, so you get the same rewards after having played a certain amount of time and accruing, so much experience. And three, it's completely visible and transparent what you unlock each time.
Yeah.
That sort of thing will never work in a game like Hearthstone. Hearthstone sort of had something where in solo adventures,
you get a pack at the end of every level.
You get like a specific legendary for defeating certain bosses.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the closest that game really got to it. But you can't give the game-breaking cards away to everyone because then the whole meta's just stuffed. But still, I agree. I think the Battle Pass system's probably the best, incarnation of freemium purchases that we've seen so far.
And that's the tough part. Like, when you're already buying a game and then they come out and say, oh, by the way, now you got to pay under $10 ish a month, or for whatever that seasonal cycle is for the Battle Pass. That's where people get up in arms. Like the PUBG thing brought with itself a lot of controversy, where it's like, I bought this game in early access for $30 USD or whatever it was. The game's still half goddamn broken. Now it's a full release. Now you're bringing out a Battle Pass we've got to pay for. And what they also did, which was dirty, is some items you'd get like accrued in that Battle Pass, you could only wear those items for a certain amount of in-game time. So you'd have an item for, say, 30 or 24 hours in-game, and then it's gone. And it's like, that's disgusting. That stuff is shithouse.
Yeah, that's not nice. No one wants to play with shit like that. That's crap.
No. You know what is nice, though?
Tell me.
The next news item on the docket. The headline reads, BioWare still working on Mass Effect and Dragon Age alongside Anthem.
Yeah.
So this comes via Adam Bankhurst over at IGN. And the sort of focus area I've taken out here is BioWare has confirmed that while the team is hard at work on the upcoming Anthem, there are still teams working on the beloved franchises of Mass Effect and Dragon Age. In BioWare's midsummer update, General Manager Casey Hudson stated, "We hear loud and clear the interest in BioWare doing more Dragon Age and Mass Effect, so rest assured that we'll have some teams hidden away working on some secret stuff that I think you'll really like. We're just not ready to talk about any of it for a little while," end quote.
Yeah.
So when I saw this hit the old news on the websites as I was doing the rounds the last couple of days, I did a little dance in my chair, not going to lie. As everyone out there that's listened to probably at least one of these episodes, they know I'm a Mass Effect fanboy through and through. It's my favorite probably franchise in gaming. The Mass Effect trilogy is perfection, excluding I guess the finale of the third one. But I like to hear this. I was worried after Andromeda tanking and getting all that bad press and everything else. Maybe they were going to indefinitely shelve it, but it's good to see they're still dabbling. I'd love to see them come out and go, by the way, we've made some DLC for Andromeda. That would make me the happiest man in the world, but it looks like maybe they're just going to maybe do another Mass Effect extension, Mass Effect 4, and maybe weave back in Commander Shepard. I don't think they're going to go back to the Ryder twins and do some more Andromeda stuff, because that's definitely got a black mark on it now. But yeah, I'm keen. What do you think? Like, you're not a big sort of BioWare-ish Mass Effect. I don't know if you played much Dragon Age.
Yeah, get ready to throw down some gauntlets, crew. So I played Dragon Age 1, which I was very much a fan of, and very, very happy to play. And I got all the way to the end and just couldn't beat the final boss because of my team composition, which is very frustrating when you get to that point of the game and realize that you're missing a key element, which I think for me was, what was it? I think I was just missing like a proper tank.
Yeah.
Like my guy was a tank, and I sort of pivoted him to start doing more damage. And just, I needed someone beefier. So him, that game, Mass Effect, I played Andromeda for all of 5 hours, 6 hours maybe.
Yeah.
And that was kind of after you had just finished it.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I might still have your copy.
I think you do. And I know you've got my Shadows of War, because I wanted to play it the other day, and I'm like...
yeah, I do. Yeah.
I was like almost like a Seinfeld, like Newman experience, where I open up and like, dream!
and you're The Last of Us.
My goodness.
I've got a lot of your library here. I'll ship them all up to the Sunshine Coast, my friend.
Oh, thanks, mate. Thanks.
Even though that's not where you are.
It's close. It's closer than Sydney, so...
Okay, all right.
You're in the vicinity. It's Queensland. You're in the state.
Okay, it's a good start. So anyway, I think that this is obviously good news for anyone who's a fan of these titles. To me, it sounds like nobody's even actually working on this shit yet. They just know that this is what people need to hear.
Yeah.
And of course they were going to do another Dragon Age. Inquisition was huge.
Inquisition was great. I really, really enjoyed my time with Inquisition. I had my character's name was Brendavi, and he was I can't remember the race, but it was sort of like the big horned sort of guys,
demonic looking dudes.
Yeah, it looks like the devil from the movie Legend way back when. They look like sort of friendlier versions of that, and I love that series and that franchise, especially Inquisition. I played the absolute hell out of that. All the DLC. I think there was 3 DLCs that came after the subsequent release of it, and I smacked through all those. I just love BioWare. I love their abilities to tell a story. I think they've got some of the best writers in the gaming space. They're up there with sort of the team over at Naughty Dog. I think they're probably two of the kingpins in the field as far as writing good narratives for big AAA titles. So I definitely think the new Dragon Age is probably pretty pretty deep in development. But yeah, the Mass Effect one, as you said, they've probably just got some intern, chucked him in a room and said, write some ideas for a Mass Effect franchise, something like that. Like it's probably something as little as they've got one of their sort of underlings spitballing, because Anthem and then Dragon Age are probably the two main pillars they're focused on at the moment. And then maybe next gen we'll see Mass Effect 5 in whatever regards. So but I'm excited. That made me happy. That hit me right in the feels, the warm and fuzzies. Give me more Mass Effect. Give me more Commander Shepard. Give me anything in that universe. Seriously, I will play it all.
Has there been any Andromeda DLC? There hasn't, has there?
None at all. None at all.
And they're not going to make any, I'm pretty sure, obviously.
No,
they would have done so by now.
Yeah, they said they wouldn't. I'd love if they did. I'm holding out hope, and like sort of thinking about it now and sort of psychoanalyzing a little bit more. Maybe they are going to do the Mass Effect trilogy remastered for current gen, and maybe that's how they can kind of say that people are working on it. So it's still sort of connecting those dots, and I wouldn't be upset about that if I could play, original trilogy on the One X upscaled, graphical enhancements and things like that. Take my money, BioWare. Take it right now.
Yeah,
right
again.
Now. Yes, take it all. Yeah, and my tears, and my smiles, and my laughs, all of it, mate.
Brent Darby needs to get back.
Brent Darby needs his Mass Effect. Yeah, I don't know why I called him that. It was so dumb. But hey,
It's cool, man. It's cool.
Yeah. So, moving on, this next little bit of news is sort of almost like a throwaway. But the headline reads, Nintendo finally confirms how you pronounce NES. And this comes via way of Tom Phillips at Eurogamer. And it reads, a debate for the ages has finally been settled. Nintendo has at last confirmed how you pronounce NES. The Nintendo Entertainment System was the company's first home console, released all the way back in 1983. But how do you pronounce NES? Nintendo have stepped in to lay down the law. And the answer, in quotes, NES, with almost like an emphasis on the S. So it's NESS is how you pronounce it, because you get some people, they call their consoles NES, they call it NES. Obviously, some weirdos might call it the Nintendo Entertainment System. And this has sort of made me pivot because I don't really call it the SNES, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Obviously, the next step after the NES. I used to call it the SNES. So now I know I'm wrong. I'm fucked. So I need to now readjust my way of thinking. I'm like, okay, it's NES, it's SNES. I can move forward now. How do you feel on this? Was this a bit of a shift in your sort of psyche, or have you always called it just the NES?
Look, I'll be real with you. I'll be real with you in a way that I'm not real with anyone, or only with you, Brent Darby. And this is a fact. This is actually a fact. Who gives a fuck?
I know.
Who gives a fuck? This is just like everyone at Eurogamer needs to take a long hard look at themselves and figure out what the fuck they need to do to actually earn their paycheck. Because if this is a story out of Eurogamer, this is not good enough. This is crap.
The news landscape is pretty barren out there at the moment.
It is pretty barren.
Just like our Barron's shirt, which is available at Designed by Humans /shop/ We Are 8-Bit. Fantastic shirt. Has had just enough changes for Nintendo to not sue us anymore, because we actually had a NES controller on that design, and now it's changed. So Nintendo, suck that. But yeah, check it out at designedbyhumans.com /shop/ We Are 8-Bit to get the Barron's t-shirt.
Just buy it. And then get do they still have the iron-on transfer stickers for shirts?
I think you could get some. We could probably source some.
Get one for your NES controller and iron it on where we used to have it. And then take a photo with your middle fingers up.
Yeah.
With Nintendo.
Yeah, so I think
there should be a bounty on the first person that can achieve that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to rest easy knowing that it is NES now. I definitely think you're downplaying the seriousness of this topic, all right? This is, there's been sleepless nights for millions around the world trying to debate this, and now we know.
Has there really?
There really hasn't. I couldn't give a shit either. I could not, but I'm trying to add to it here.
No, I know. Look, and I appreciate you for really digging deep, because it was a bit of a slow week. Let's not dignify this with further chit chat. Let's move on to something that's actually exciting.
Oh yeah, and this has almost been like there's two nuggets in this news headlines this week that are just cut right from my core. And the next one, headline reads, Resident Evil 8 is real and plans are, in quote, already in motion at Capcom. This comes via way of Alex Avad at Games Radar. And the article reads, we want, in brackets, Resident Evil 7 to be the start of a new kind of survival horror and of a new series, end quote, says Takushi, who is one of the heads at Capcom. Then he continues to say, we're already thinking of various plans for the next game, but we also want to see how we can continue to evolve survival horror itself. In the next few years, technology will continue to advance, and what players want may also change, but we'll always want to create horror experiences where the characters overcome a difficult situation, end quote. He goes on to then say, and so the current masterpiece, i.e. Resident Evil 7, is just the beginning. Plans for the next title are already in motion, and when you see that game, you may find that it is very different from Resident Evil 7 in some ways, while still retaining that core survival horror concept of people overcoming the odds. Resident Evil will always retain that essence, end quote. So, just like I was saying before with the Mass Effect sort of news, I was doing a little sort of happy dance as I was sort of reading this, and my mind was going wild and imagining where they're going to take this. You played some Resident Evil 7. You played some Resident Evil 7 DLC, which is available to watch at youtube.com/We Are 8-Bit. Where Dream, I genuinely thought you might have died during that session. There was a time when you were clutching at your heart and keeled over motionless, and I thought Resident Evil 7 has killed the Dream, and I was scared, genuinely scared, because I thought you were gonna come unstuck in a bad way that night. But here we are, we're laughing about it now.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious now, but at the time genuinely thought I was gonna have a heart attack. I actually thought that, and I was thinking as well about how no one dies in VR. Like, no one's ever died from VR. And it occurred to me that it would be very embarrassing to be the first person that died in VR.
You could become the real life lawnmower man. Like, maybe you dying in VR captures your essence, and then you're in the PSVR matrix after that. You know, you are running around in that landscape.
That'd be cool. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
and I'd be
scary.
Yeah, I'd scare. I hopefully wouldn't be scary. I'd like to be really friendly and invite people into the VR system. I like VR. I want more people to do it. This is cool. Yeah, I as terrified as I was playing that little snippet of Resident Evil 7 way back when. I thought it was a fantastic game. It builds suspense so well. And it's terrifying to play in a way that no Resident Evil game I've ever played is or was. It's actually scary. Resident Evil's it's the difference between, I think, old horror films where it's like you see, Mike Myers chasing the running girl and he's just walking. You see it and you know it's going to happen and it's terrifying. Like, that's what old Resident Evil games seem like to me. And this new one is, I don't know, like this new one's something else entirely.
Yeah, it went almost, from sort of expanding on that analogy, like it went to almost like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing where
this new one is Lars von Trier's Antichrist. That's what it is.
Is that the movie I'm thinking where Willem Dafoe cuts his dick off? No,
so all right. Explicit warning. I know we're already like a 18 plus deal for iTunes and stuff, but this is about to get real graphic. So if you get queasy with this stuff, skip ahead 15, 20, 30 seconds. Willem Dafoe's girlfriend hits him in the balls with a huge wooden cylinder, then blasts one off and blood shoots out, and then cuts her own self.
The clitoris, right? Yeah.
It is. I've never seen anything like it in cinema. It is fucking terrifying and scary and disgusting. And oh my God.
Like I watched that, I think, on DVD or something. It might have been one of the last movies I ever hired from like a Video Easy. Maybe that's why I never hired one again, because this movie, it definitely rattled you. And obviously they go out in the woods because they're grieving the loss of their child. And they're trying to deal with that because, remember, their child falls out of the crib out the window or something and passes away.
While they're banging in the shower.
Yep. So what better way to, mourn the passing of your child than do some weird-ass shit like this?
Full penetration as well, mind you. Like, this is a film that shows you everything.
Yeah.
And nothing's, hidden. They don't cut at awkward times. Everything's a wide shot. It's fucked up.
It's hectic. It's a hectic film, and it's definitely not for the faint-hearted. So if anyone sees that, tread with caution when you press play on that film, because you'll see some things.
Resident Evil 7 is not that graphic, but it is very much the scary equivalent, I think. At least for me it was.
Yeah, it's got a bit of that, and sort of doubling back, it's sort of got more of a Texas Chainsaw vibe. Obviously, you're down in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
The Baker family are the big bad in this, especially sort of Jack, who is the patriarch of the family. He is the main big bad, and some of the jumps that he creates, it's ridiculous. I've played it non-VR and then in PSVR, and both times I was just forcing myself to step forward into rooms and persist with the story, because it was so scary, and I haven't felt a level of unease like that in a game in a while. And I'm excited for 8. Like, obviously Resident Evil 2, the remake dropping at the end of January, which I'm extremely excited for. Cannot wait for that, because Resident Evil 2 is one of, if not my favorite game of all time. So Resident Evil 8, I don't know what they're going to do. I really liked that they went that first-person perspective in Resident Evil 7. I wouldn't mind if they kept it that way. I think it added a new layer of tension and fear to it, where you're not looking at the typical over-the-shoulder, action-y based sort of camera mounting, as opposed to directly through the eyes of the protagonist. So I'm hoping for more of that. I wouldn't be upset if they just did more stuff down in the bayous of Louisiana and stuff. But anything that's more traditional horror, more dread-inducing, as opposed to sort of that action-y horror that they pivoted from after Resident Evil 4. Yeah, I'm keen as beans. This might not be for a few years. I'm assuming this is probably going to be next-gen based software once it drops. But if it's even a fraction of what Resident Evil 7 did, there's going to be a few pairs of pants getting pooped, maybe a few near heart attacks. Poor old Dream, but I'm happy you made it through, and we're here talking about it today.
That's it. Stronger for it.
Yeah. Where do you stand on horror games in general? Like, are you a fan of that genre, or do you sort of naturally steer clear of them due to sort of the potential, fear factors?
So I don't actively seek out horror games. I don't think I've ever really bought one, to be entirely honest with you. But every time you've sat me down in a chair and asked me to play one, I've loved it. I've had a lot of fun playing horror games. They're terrifying. They're actually terrifying to me in a way that sort of films aren't anymore. Like, a lot of films these days, all because they follow a very sort of set story structure. It's very easy to sort of see where it goes, and you kind of assume that most people are going to die by the end of it, so you don't really get attached to anyone. But yeah, I actually really, really enjoyed it. Like, you made me play this. What was the other one you made me play where you see
played
everything through a
Outlast
camera?
2?
Outlast 2, that's it.
Yeah.
That one was that was also kind of scary. Yeah, I like them. I will probably only play them in VR though. I think that's where it's really fun.
Oh yeah, that technology is perfectly suited for VR. One thing that I actually wanted to mention that segues nicely into VR is we went to Warner Brothers Movie World over my birthday weekend about 2-ish weeks back now, and they've got a roller coaster there, and it's the Arkham Asylum roller coaster. So obviously it weaves in Batman and all the baddies and everything like that, and you can choose to ride that roller coaster in VR. And so we did, and so they strap a Samsung Gear VR headset to yourself, and you're still hopping in the roller coaster. So you're not just sitting in a chair in a room experiencing a roller coaster. You're actually riding that roller coaster still, but they weave in VR layers through the Samsung Gear.
Yeah,
and
right.
It was one of the craziest experiences I've ever had in that sort of gaming VR mixed reality type of situation, because you're feeling the wind blow across your person, and you're feeling the corkscrews and the loops. But you're encountering that in game, and you've got a giant killer croc coming at you, and bats flying at you, and you're flying off buildings and all that, and it was magical. Anyone that's planning to go to Warner Brothers or any theme park that does the similar types of options where you can try that coaster out with a VR headset attached to it, because it was unlike anything I've ever experienced. And holy crap, we all got off. Like I think we all got off and took the headsets off. And we all felt a little bit of that vertigo. We're still trying to process where you are again, and you're a little bit queasy for a second, but it wasn't too bad. But man, it was something. It's certainly something I'm not going to forget for a while. Yeah, it
sounds pretty cool. It is cool actually thinking about it. Like, how else do you make roller coasters exciting now? More hydraulics.
Yeah, so we did, like, the first ride we went on was the Superman roller coaster, and it's just one where you go super fast, like you're stuck in this subway system, and the subway's collapsing, and then Superman comes in, he's like, all right, guys, we're going to get you up. We got to go fast. We got to go Superman fast. And the second he says that, and the roller coaster just, shoo, and it goes from like 0 to 100 in, I don't know, 2 seconds or something. So your head gets whiplashed and you're belting along. But then we also did this new roller coaster, which is the DC Rivals coaster, which is the largest and fastest roller coaster in the Southern Hemisphere. And my goodness, it was a trip. Like, there was loops with corkscrews, and the first drop you do was just a dead drop straight down, and it just sets the precedent. But roller coasters and stuff, I love them, but I can't go on too many in quick succession because I'll be sick. So I have to sort of pace it out. I don't know, how are you with coasters? You good?
I haven't had to do one in a long time. I don't remember the last roller coaster I was on. I would have been under 20 for sure. Probably like 15 or 16 even the last time I did a roller coaster, which is, it's like 5 years ago now. So I don't know. I don't know how I'd go anymore on them just quietly. I for some reason I must have thought about this recently, probably because that last one you're talking about, I've seen it advertised, and I just don't think they're for me anymore. I don't think I'd find myself on a roller coaster. Those days are behind me.
Yeah, you've moved on.
Yeah, I'm onto real life adult stuff now, like VR horror games. So yeah, that's I guess where I stand for the rest of my life on roller coasters.
No, that's fair. Yeah. All right. So this last question or last thing I wanted to broach with you, it ties onto the back of a bit of news you three unpacked last week, with obviously Epic Games as Fortnite officially bringing in $1 billion US, which I think roughly equates to about 75 billion Australian dollars with the exchange rate at the moment. Dream, I want to know, what would you spend $1 billion on? If you had that kind of money, what would you do with it?
It's an interesting. I don't know. My instinct is just a dumb answer. I'd buy, like. You really want to know what I'd do?
Yeah.
I would buy a house for my mums.
Yeah. In Sydney still?
Yeah, so wherever she wants, I guess at $1 billion. At $1 billion, you know what? She can pick. She can decide. Yeah. She wants to live in, Costa Rica. Go for it, Mum. I don't know why there. I would have picked it. It's going to be a long way to see your grandkids, but sure. Dad, I'll buy Dad somewhere, probably out west. Mm-hmm. I won't let him pick because he'll just fuck it up. So I'll just buy him somewhere out west. Spend, a good 300 grand on that. How much do I have left? I've probably got about 995.
You've still probably got 950 million-ish dollars after all this stuff.
Okay, I'll give 900 of it to charity because to be honest, I'm running out of things to do with it. I'd buy a car. I'd get my license just to get a car.
When you got that much money, you don't need to worry about a license. You just pay your way out of fines.
Yeah, and then I've probably still got 90 million. I'd probably get a drug habit of some kind. Just because when you got that much money, you can't not. You know what I mean? Like everyone with that kind of money's got a coke habit or something.
It's just par for the course, you reckon?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's kind of like you just got to do it. If you're going to be in the what do they call it in Silicon? The 3 comma club. If you're in the 3 comma club, you've got to have something.
Yeah, you got that billions. You got an addiction. Okay.
On that note, I'd get a lot of swag, the dream swag made. And sell it, and obviously they'd sell like hotcakes. So then I've got more money. Now I've got another problem.
That's it. Then you can get a secondary drug habit.
Yeah,
that you can attach to the primary. So
I'd
maybe uppers and downers to balance it out. Who knows?
Yeah, and then I don't know. I'd figure the rest out. I'd probably commission a video game about the life and times of Brendan White. Just a little pup from the back of Kuma.
Oh, it'd be a riveting story, that one.
Who's learning to make it in the world, just him and his little BB gun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, man. Look, long and short, I think hookers and cokes probably where the rest of it's going to go. What about you, mate? What are you up to?
Yeah, I'd obviously the cliched parts, like sorting out the family first, buying, the mom and maybe paying off my sister's mortgage or buying them a new house, doing that like for the immediate friends and family, making sure the inner circle's sorted out. I'd buy a nice house up here. I'd also then like look to buy a couple of holiday houses around the world, maybe one in Canada, one in Europe, maybe one down in New Orleans as well. Stuff like that. Maybe I'll commission the Salim the Dream or autobiopic, and we'll get like a film made of your life, something like that. You're doing the game, so I'll do the film. I think that's more on brand for yourself as well, Mr. Film Man. Maybe engage Mache and Toby to help me write this grand opus. So we'll see what happens there. Sure. Maybe Mache could play you. He's got your voice down pat, by the way. He absolutely crushes that, and it kills me every time he does his impressions. He's a much more handsome man than me, I think. So he's gonna have to cut some of his chin hair off and paste it just over his eyes, so he looks like he's got the bushy brows like I do. Yeah. So a bit of that, and I'd love to something that we always discuss both on and offline with shows and things is try and turn all this into like a Rooster Teeth equivalent juggernaut. I don't think we'll ever ascend. Maybe with $1 billion we'd have enough money to ascend to those heights because we just buy our way to the top. That'd be great too. Set up a massive big sort of home base in Australia here and see if we can convince some of our key guys to relocate and make some magic. Maybe buy our way onto a MTV reality show. Who knows? There was Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory. Maybe it'll be the 8-bit Dream Factory or something. Who knows? So the world is our oyster with 75 billion AUD or whatever it converts to. So it's exciting.
Get Elon Musk in. We'll get Musk in to do something for us.
Oh, yeah. Instead of flamethrowers, you'll make us like ice launchers or something, the yin to the yang, we can put out those fires that he's starting. All kinds of stuff like that. I'd actually, thinking about it now, I'd like to make you the face of like a Bachelor-esque show. No. So we'll just make a show around you and get all these women in from around the world to try and vie for your love. Because I'd watch that every day. I don't care if no one else in the world sort of attaches to it. I would just watch that for my own enjoyment when I have that amount of money. I just do things like that.
We've spitballed a lot over the last 2.5 years over like ideas for things, and we always go back and forth. We shoot some down and we prop some up. That might be your best idea yet, though, mate. I want you to know that. That might
put it on the board.
Best idea.
Put it on the board.
Yeah.
I just put a metaphorical pin right there.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I'm excited. Listeners, what would you do with your $1 billion? Hit us up on the socials at We Are 8bit or drop us an email at hello@8bit.net and let us know how you would spend $1 billion US. Maybe the winner. I've actually got some headphones from our legends over at Audio Technica. Maybe we'll send you a set of headphones.
I thought you were going to say the winner gets $1 billion.
Not yet. We're not there yet. Once we get your fashion line going, where we've got that regular recurring income, we can offset it that way. So
I would love an actual fashion line. I'm not a fashionable person at all, but I just like the idea of having a clothesline. It seems cool. Yeah, it seems very cool.
Is your slogan "Living the Dream"? Is that what it is?
Slogans can't stop, won't stop. We'll come up with something a bit better.
Yeah. But yeah. Listeners out there, hit us up. What would you do with $1 billion? I've got a mixture of AT in-ear bass approved earphones as well as some M40 headsets. So I will send one of those out to the winner. So hit us up. We haven't really turned this into a formal giveaway until right now. but maybe we'll draw something up formally during the week. It's fast and loose over here on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
We're running high on caffeine. Dream, is there anything else you wanted to say? Anything else you wanted to discuss before we start riding on out into the metaphorical podcast sunset for another week?
That we are officially inside 90 days, I believe, between now and PAX, if I've got my math right.
That's insane.
Yeah, PAX Australia. So, we are going to be there in a big way this year.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see us on the floor, not just Brendan and I, and Ali. Hopefully Ali, right? She's not sure. I know she's like 50-50 at this point. Is that right?
She's it's a coin toss. Depending on the day, she's got a few things she's working through and trying to see if logistically it will marry up. But we've all got our fingers and toes crossed that the Queen of Sass can make it down to Melbourne for PAX 2018 because it's going to be an absolute belter.
It is. And not just us, but the rest of the 8-Bit family is going to be down there too. Mm-hmm. So anyone you like in the hashtag 8-Bit Collective, chances are they're going to be down there and having an absolute ball because PAX is a lot of fun. That's happening. So if you haven't got your tickets, go to Google and Google PAX. I don't have the link handy. I'm pretty sure it's pax.com.au, but on the off chance that it isn't, go to Google PAX AUS 2018. Get the 3-day pass, get the 1-day pass, get whatever pass you can get your hands on and get down there. I don't think they've announced the Indie Showcase winners just yet. But yet. The Indie Showcase last year was phenomenal. It was a solid third of the floor, it felt like. And I think it was the largest indie showcase they'd ever had at a PAX. It was great. So that alone is a great reason to be there. Seeing us is another good reason to be there if you're there. And of course, seeing all the other things happening, that's okay too.
Hell yeah.
So come around to PAX. Outside of that, in the lead up to PAX, if you are at all interested in podcasting, and the AGPN, the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network, will be hosting a meet and greet here in Sydney very soon. It's a great opportunity to, catch up and hang out with people in the lead up to PAX and see what everyone else is doing. Melbourne, stay tuned. We're going to do another one down there soon as well. And, maybe Brisbane. We'll find out. We're still working on it. Fingers crossed, Brisbane. Fingers crossed. That's
the Sunshine State.
Yeah, the beautiful Sunshine State. Sorry, I just looking over. The beautiful Sunshine State. Did you say we have an iTunes review with someone panning NATO?
Yeah, hang on. I'll see if I can pull it up. I don't know because I wasn't sure if you wanted to discuss that with NATO on the show or if we're just going to talk for him right now.
Let's discuss it with him next time.
Okay.
We'll take the side of the viewer, obviously the listener, and NATO can take the side of NATO.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave a little spoiler for this review though, and the iTunes review was left by someone called I Wish I Didn't Know NATO. And I'll leave it at that. That's the actual iTunes handle. So that's their Apple ID handle there. I wish I didn't know NATO. So that'll give you an idea where this review's going.
Wow. You can't change that, can you? Once you've got it.
No, I think it's locked. Once it's in, it's in. So that guy or girl is now known as I Wish I Didn't Know NATO on iTunes for all subsequent podcast reviews. When you see that person, know that they wish they didn't know NATO. So, listeners, that has been the 114th episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Tying onto that, please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe us on iTunes. Hopefully with no unique ideas of I wish I didn't know Brendan or I wish I didn't know The Dream, because I don't know if I'm emotionally strong enough to deal with that kind of rejection and hatred. But do your worst if you want to, or your best. Those reviews keep the emotional lights on in our hearts. And while you're there, rating and reviewing and subscribing to us, be sure to rate, review, subscribe to all the other podcasts in the hashtag 8-Bit Collective or all the other great podcasts out there that you're already listening to, because it means a goddamn lot for a whole lot of not much from yourselves. It takes a little amount of time to get that happening. So if you could, thank you very much. 8bit.net for the entirety of our catalog, as well as the rest of the crew. As I said before, youtube.com/we're8bit for a heap of videos. Jono, as well as Sammy Deej, have been hard at work over the last couple of weeks with game reviews, half-informs and things like that. So give them a watch as well. And shop all our merch at designbyhumans/shop/weare8bit. As mentioned before, the Baron shirt is back, baby. We've avoided Nintendo's wrath for another couple of weeks. Get it while you can, because it could go down again soon, but it's there for now, and it's magical. Yeah, until next week, Dream. It's always been a pleasure, my brother. Where can we find you?
You can find me at SalimTD on Twitter.
And you can find me at Brendan8bit just about everywhere, except on No Man's Sky right now. But I'll be back soon to try this multiplayer. But until next week, 8-Bit Nation, much love.
Stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.